Next thing we have to discuss here is about the solstices and equinoxes. Again, very important thing to be discussed, right? Now, first, solstices. There are two solstices we have in the entire year, two solstices and two equinoxes. Okay. Now, what are these two solstices? Number one solstice is called the summer solstice, the other is called the winter solstice. Okay. And when these two occur, the summer solstice occurs on 21st of June every year, while the winter solstice occurs on 22nd of December every year. Now, what happens on these 2 days? On the day when we have the summer solstice, you will find here you can see a little bit if you can understand by this the first picture of it. Summer solstice, because of the tilted axis, the northern hemisphere is actually more towards the sun rays, right? And a major part of the southern hemisphere is towards the darker side. And so over the northern hemisphere you will find it's the summer season, and in the southern hemisphere it's just opposite. So on this day the sun is overhead at the Tropic of Cancer. On this particular day, 21st of June, every time the sun rays would be falling over direct over the Tropic of Cancer, and that's why this day is called as summer solstice. And this is the maximum limit, right, of the movement, or you can say the apparent movement of sun towards the north. Many times you must have heard by your parents or by your grandparents, सूर्य दक्षिणार्ध हो गया या उत्तरार्ध की तरफ जा रहा है. That means what? Sun is actually shifting. That means from the Tropic of Cancer, the apparent movement, it is just the apparent movement of sun. Okay. Now, after the summer solstice, its apparent movement is towards the south. And on this particular day, you will find the southern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, right? And it experiences winter season. So, number one point is northern hemisphere experiences summers, the southern hemisphere experiences winters. Okay, in northern hemisphere, this particular day, 21st of June, is the longest day and shortest night on this particular day. And just opposite happens in the southern hemisphere. Then the direct sun rays fall over the Tropic of Cancer on this day, and the sun rays fall straight over the Tropic of Cancer. So you will find after this particular day, the apparent movement of the sun is towards the south. Now let's talk about the other solstice. It is called winter solstice, and you can see the tilt is in the same direction. Okay. Now what do you find here? A major part of the northern hemisphere is in the dark, right, on the darker side. But the southern hemisphere and some part of northern hemisphere, no doubt, that is actually facing the direct sun rays. So the southern hemisphere experiences the summer season. Okay, while northern hemisphere is experiencing winters. And when does it happen? On which day? The day is 22nd of December. On 22nd of December, the sun rays are falling straight over the Tropic of Capricorn this time. Okay, Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. And the northern hemisphere is actually tilted away from the sun. So it's summers in the southern hemisphere and winters in the northern hemisphere. Okay, the longest duration of day we can find in the southern hemisphere is on this particular day, that is winter solstice. Okay, longest day and shortest night. And all these things just the other way it happens in the northern hemisphere, because in southern hemisphere it's summers, so in northern hemisphere it's winters, right? In southern hemisphere it is the longest duration of day, in northern hemisphere it is the shortest duration of day and longest night. Okay, so just opposite. Now the next again very important part of it is the equinox. Okay, As I said, there are two equinoxes. Number one is the vernal equinox. Okay. Number one is vernal equinox, the other is called the autumnal equinox. So, what are these 2 days? Equi means equal, nox, nights. So, these are the 2 days in the entire year when we find the duration of day and nights are same everywhere on earth. Or the other way you can say, on these 2 days in a year, the sun shines vertically over the equator now. Almost it forms 90 degree over the equator. And this angle decreases as one moves away from the equator. These days are, the two equinoxes are 21st of March, right, which is called as the spring equinox, and 23rd of September, which is called as autumnal equinox. These are the two equinoxes we have. At the equinoxes, the days and nights are of equal duration throughout the world on all the parts of earth. On March 21st, if we see, it is a spring season in the northern hemisphere, right? But autumn season in the southern hemisphere, just opposite. But when we talk about the other equinox, September 23rd, it is autumn season in northern hemisphere. And what about southern hemisphere? It is spring season there. So the position is just reversed. Okay, whatever we have in the northern hemisphere, just opposite will be there in the southern hemisphere. At the two equinoxes, sun is always overhead at the equator. That means the direct sun rays fall over the equator. When the apparent northward movement of sun continues up to June 21st, there are variations in the duration of daylight. Now let's see the distinguish, right? The differences between the two. Solstices. Solstices refer to the time when the sun reaches its highest or lowest point in the sky at noon, resulting in the shortest and longest days of the year. Shortest and longest. Shortest during the winter solstice and longest during the summer solstice. Okay. Then next is, it happens twice a year. What are the two dates? Children, you should remember all these 4 dates. Okay. 21st of June and 22nd December. These are the two solstices. And what are the two equinoxes? Yes, 21st of March and 23rd of September. These 4 are the important dates for you. And it happens during especially summers and winters. Solstices occur during these 2 seasons. What about the equinoxes? It refers to the time when the sun crosses the plane of the earth's equator, making night and day of equal lengths there, right? And it happens again twice a year. One is March 21st, that is always spring equinox, and the other is 23rd September, that is always the autumn equinox in northern hemisphere. But in southern hemisphere, again I am saying, it will be just reversed, and it happens at the part of spring and autumn season. Now, what is cycle of seasons? Basically, we are having 4 seasons in a year. So, just try to understand the cycle of seasons with all these 4 important days what we have. Okay. Cycle of seasons, basically it is based on the revolution movement of earth only around the sun, right? So what happens then? The equinoxes and solstices are positions of the earth with respect to the sun on given fixed dates. Okay, 4 dates we are having. Clear? And duration of day and night varies according to the seasons. That we all know very well. There are basically 4 seasons. Which are those seasons? Number 1 is spring season. We can relate the spring season with March. March is the month when we have the spring season in northern hemisphere, right? So that is the period when we have one of the equinoxes, 21st of March. Then from spring season, as we move further, after March, April, May, June, then it comes June in the year, right? And in the month of June, we are having the summer season. Summer season where? In the northern hemisphere. And what is the date for it? 21st of June here in the case of solstices and equinoxes, we can get this important date here, right? 21st of June. And it is one of the solstices because it is summer season going on in the northern hemisphere. So it is called as summer solstice. Then this cycle moves further from June as we proceed further, June, July, August, and then it comes September, right? So in September again we are getting one important date. What is it? 23rd of September, and it is one of the equinoxes we have in the northern hemisphere. What is it? Because in northern hemisphere we are experiencing the autumn season, so it is called as the autumnal equinox. Okay, in September. Then from September, as we move further, after that comes October, November, and then it is December. So December is what? December is the winter season in the northern hemisphere. So one important date is also there during that season, and that is 22nd of December when we have the winter solstice. Okay, then again from 22nd of December, or you can say winter solstice, we move further from winters, right? December, after December, January, February, and as we reach in the March, again it is vernal equinox, again it is summer solstice, again autumnal equinox, then winter solstice, again vernal equinox. So the same way, children, it continues, right? Every year it continues the same way, and this is called as the cycle of seasons. If we go through all these four important dates individually, what are the importance of all these positions? Let's see. Number one is position on 21st of June. It is the date when we have what? Summer solstice. In the northern hemisphere, we are experiencing summer season. Okay. So the rays of sun fall vertically on the Tropic of Cancer. Next is the duration of sunlight or the daytime increases. Okay, the duration of daytime is maximum on this particular day. Then beyond the Arctic Circle, the region experiences 24 hours of daylight, and this phenomena is termed as midnight sun. And you know which country is called as the land of midnight sun? Norway. After 21st of June, the hours of sunlight in the northern hemisphere begins to decrease from 12 hours at the equator to all nights and no days beyond the Arctic Circle. Then after June, it comes September out of all these four dates. So position on 23rd of September, what is it? It is the autumn season, okay, in the northern hemisphere. So on this day, the sun is vertically overhead on the equator, and the days and nights are equal, and that's why it is called equinox, right? So on September 23rd, the duration of daylight is 12 hours on all the places on earth. Next, after September, it comes December. In December, you'll find what is the position on 22nd December. On this day, the southern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun, so it is experiencing summer season, while in the northern hemisphere it is winters, so it is called as winter solstice. Areas beyond the Antarctic Circle experiencing 24 hours of daylight during this period. And being the water hemisphere, the spectacle of the midnight sun, though more interesting, is confined to navigators only. Okay, it's not experienced by the people because no landmass is there. Maximum part is the ocean. Okay, next is the South Polar region has 24 hours of sunlight continuously for many days. Then come to the last one important day, that is position on 21st of March. What is it? After 22nd December, the sun again begins to move towards the equator, and on March 21st, the sun rays fall vertically over the equator. And on this day, all places on earth have equal days and nights. And because of this, again, this is called as one of the equinoxes. And as it is During March, so it is the spring season in the northern hemisphere, so it is called as spring equinox, right? So these are the four important days and the seasons which are related to these 4 days, right? Now, one very important thing which we need to discuss here is actually the twilight. Okay. Now, what is twilight? Twilight basically is a duration when you wake up in the early morning, suppose, right? After the night time and till the time the sunrise occurs, the period in between the two, that is actually called as twilight. The same way, in the evening time, you will find when the sun sets, okay, after that, it's not total dark immediately, right? After the sunset, till the time we get total dark time of the night, okay, there's a period when there is little light still coming to us. That period in the evening is called as twilight. So there are two such periods within one day. Okay. So basically, the variation in the amount of heat received in different parts of the earth during year depend on the inclination of sun's rays, right? And during sunrise and sunset, though the sun is below the horizon, I'm coming to the twilight only. During the sunrise and sunset, when the sun is still below the horizon, we experienced a diffused light. That light is called diffused light. Okay. How does it come to us? It is considered that it is the result of reflection by the clouds, dust particles, and all which are there in the atmosphere. That makes that diffused light to reach on earth. And this period of diffused light between sunset and complete darkness is called dusk. In the evening time, it is called dusk, dusk. And the period between sunrise and full daylight in the morning time is called as dawn, dawn. There, the diffused light duration is longer, and in polar regions, twilight lasts for as much as 7 weeks at a stretch. Okay, it continues till that time. After that, it ends.